Breaking news at 11. Major traffic delays on Interstate 75. NBC2 navigates drivers around the backups.
Early voting underway in Florida, but is your vote safe? Ahead, we're looking at if the state is in the middle of an election hacking scandal.
Just a broken guy. Got a few screws loose, I guess.
Incredible maneuvers. How did an airline worker without a pilot license steal and fly a plane from his former employer? What federal investigators are focusing on today.
Plus, family members demanding answers after a teacher is caught on camera dragging a student down the hall by their throat. This morning, we're hearing from that teacher.
Cars nearly underwater from massive flooding on the East Coast.
The future of Cape Coral Parks up for debate. We take you live as city leaders discuss a plan that could cost taxpayers thousands. NBC2 News at 11 starts right now.
But first, after what was a rather rainy morning in a few neighborhoods here in southwest Florida, live Doppler radar has calmed down considerably. If you're following along with live radar over your phone using the NBC2 weather app, you might notice these showers that are just about 30 miles to the west of Charlotte and Lee counties. These are falling apart and will not play a role in the forecast for our beach communities. When I come back, we'll talk about when the chance of rain returns to your forecast this afternoon. That's coming up in just a few minutes.
Rob, sounds good. We will see you in a few minutes. Good morning, everyone. We're on top of breaking news at 11 o'clock. All lanes are closed on Interstate 75 in Charlotte County. This is a live look between Bayshore Road and Tucker's Grade. What a mess out there. Troopers stopped a truck driver this morning because of the potential of a hazardous material spilling out on the lanes.
Yeah, that was at mile marker 153, and that's actually where NBC2's Julianne Dell will join us live from Charlotte County. Julianne, this potentially hazardous material, what are troopers saying it is?
Amanda, right now they're evaluating. They do say it's a resin substance, but we want to give you a look at the fire crews from Charlotte County that are assessing that truck right now, and they're testing the volatility of that resin substance right now. Now, when they made that traffic stop earlier around 8:45 this morning, they say that they smelled something and that they saw a substance leaking out of the back right side of the truck. They say right now they're comfortable with the distance, that they have things closed off. The traffic stop is about a couple of hundred yards back right now, and we're told again that truck is carrying at least 15,000 pounds of resin, which is a highly flammable substance that also shouldn't be breathed in by humans or animals, and that it's used to make pipes. Again, they're assessing that volatility of the substance right now. The DEP is also on scene to make sure there's no environmental issue. And of course, right now you may be wondering when things are going to reopen. Here you can see from our mast cam the backup on 75 North. In just the past couple of minutes, they've actually started turning people around and rerouting them using the left shoulder to get them back and then take them on to the southbound lanes. Of course, this is a very fluid situation. It's continuing to develop, and we're going to stay out here and bring you the latest as it happens. Reporting live in Charlotte County, Julianne Dell, NBC2.
And Julianne, people turning around on those southbound lanes or northbound lanes to get southbound. They've actually closed I-75 southbound at Tucker's Grade, mile marker 158, and on I-75 northbound at mile marker 143. That is Bayshore Road. You can see on your map I-75 all red because you can't move on either of those lanes. Your best routes are going to be US 41 or even State Road 31. On our maps, we are seeing some heavier delays on US 41 heading southbound in North Fort Myers. However, State Road 31 looking all clear, so that might be your best option. We'll continue to stay on top of this and bring you any updates as we can on air and online.
Another major story we're following for you on this Monday. Early voting for the Florida primary is now underway. And as Floridians head to the polls, we are working to find out whether Russia previously hacked Florida's election system. U.S. Senator from Florida Bill Nelson told a Tampa newspaper the Russians did get into some of Florida's election systems. His office, though, has not explained the report. The Florida Association of Supervisors of Elections says they are not aware of any hacks in our state. Our team is working to find out where Senator Nelson obtained the report. For now, many voters say they plan to cast their ballots anyway.
It's just important that we vote. I don't care what party you're in, you just have to vote. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on every social media. What are they going to hack from me? What? I know how to put a sign up?
Nelson and Senator Marco Rubio last month warned the Russians would try and hack the systems again. Bill Nelson buying big time for your screen time and attention. The Democrat running for the Senate and his allies have bought $42 million in advertising across our state.
For adventurers.
That's more than twice of the $17.4 million he bought in ad time prior to August. His opponent, Governor Rick Scott, has $18.3 million queued up for the November election time, but he is expected to outspend Senator Nelson by a wide margin.
Cape Coral City leaders want to spend nearly $60 million on parks. Council members are meeting today to discuss how they plan to get the funding needed to repair, expand, and build local parks. NBC2's Ashley Dyer joins us live in Cape Coral at one of the parks that could receive updates. Ashley, what have you learned so far this morning?
Well, Cultural Park here is just one of 22 parks that could either be built or receive updates. Cultural Park is more or less just an open field, as you can see. There are some goalposts here, but that's about it. However, concept plans for Cultural Park show a new shaded picnic and grill area, a cafe with outdoor dining seating, as well as gardens and an event area. Concepts for some of the other parks will include new trails, boat ramps, and fishing and athletic facilities. Part of the update plan will also focus on improvements for wildlife habitat and shoreline protection. Later this afternoon, city leaders will discuss a new tax that would last for 15 years. Count on NBC2 for all your updates. Live in Cape Coral, Ashley Dyer, NBC2.
Ashley, thank you. Breaking news this morning at 11. An oceanside boardwalk in Spain collapses. It went down during a concert. Hundreds of people are injured, 5 of them seriously. This is in a port city in the northwest part of Spain. The port's wooden boardwalk just gave way around midnight, just as this 3-day music and sports festival was wrapping up. Emergency workers speculate it simply had too many people on it. The wooden boards cracked along a central section about 130 feet long, and people slid right down into the water below. New from overnight, a plane crashes into a house south of Salt Lake City. This is the view from above. The fiery crash killing the pilot, who was the only person on board that twin-engine Cessna 525. 2 people inside the house escaped without getting hurt. Federal investigators are now heading there to investigate.
Investigators are learning more about the crash of an airplane stolen from Seattle-Tacoma International Airport on Friday. The NTSB recovered the flight data recorder this weekend. Andrew Spencer looks into the man who stole the plane and why he did it.
Bebo, his family called him, describing Richard Russell as a warm and compassionate man.
I got a lot of people that care about me, and it's going to disappoint them to hear that I did this.
Before pulling off an aerial stunt and after gently refusing air traffic control's attempts to convince him to land the stolen plane safely, Russell apologized to the people he thought he was disappointing.
Just a broken guy. Got a few screws loose, I guess. Never really knew it until now.
The NTSB said Sunday the crash took Russell through several lines of 100-foot-high trees. Crews recovered the flight data recorder over the weekend. The NTSB expects it to arrive in Washington, D.C. on Tuesday for analysis. Russell posted a video on YouTube last year about his job working as a ground service agent for Horizon Air. Officials say it's that job that enabled him to tow the plane out of a maintenance area and take off without authorization from Seattle-Tacoma International Airport on Friday. The Pierce County Sheriff's Department described Russell as suicidal. The man whose family described him as a faithful husband, a loving son, and a good friend, keeping conversation light in his darkest moments.
I'm going to try to do a barrel roll, and if that goes good, then I'll just go nose down and call it a night.
That was Andrew Spencer reporting, and shortly after that conversation, his plane crashed into a small island southwest of Tacoma. The NTSB right now is processing that flight data recorder. They still don't know exactly why Russell stole the plane.
He is truly a racist.
Things are heating up in Washington with President Donald Trump. Omarosa Manigault-Newman speaking out about her time in the White House. In her new book, she writes that she learned about a tape where Mr. Trump used the N-word during production of The Apprentice, but that she had not heard it herself. Then she told Meet the Press that she had heard it for herself.
This is a White House where everybody lies. You have to have your own back.
Now, her own credibility is in question after she secretly taped White House Chief of Staff John Kelly inside the highly secure Situation Room. A hidden recording she made when the Chief of Staff fired her last December when she was a former White House aide.
And President Trump is firing back at her this morning. If we can take Chris at a look at these tweets. He sent out 3 tweets this morning after that interview on the Today Show where she released that recording where President Trump appeared to not know that she was about to be fired by Chief of Staff John Kelly. The president called Manigault Newman a lowlife and wacky. He says she was vicious but not smart and said she was constantly missing meetings.
Nate, thank you. A Florida State House candidate is facing questions about her college degree. Republican Melissa Howard claims to have a Bachelor of Science in Marketing from Miami University in Ohio. But FLA News reported last week that she never actually got a degree there. In response, Howard posted a picture of herself with a diploma on Facebook. However, the university is now they told CNN that the diploma in the picture didn't seem to be accurate. The school says that Howard went there in the early 1990s but never graduated, and that the Bachelor of Science in Marketing degree doesn't even exist there. So far, there's been no response from Howard.
The family of Aretha Franklin today asking for prayers and privacy because the legendary singer is reportedly gravely ill. She's 76 years old in Detroit, surrounded, we're told, by loved ones and friends. Franklin's been battling numerous health problems for several years. She canceled concerts last summer because of doctor's orders. Her last performance was back in November at the Elton John AIDS Foundation in New York. It looks like a scene straight from a movie. Dozens of people playing a game of tug of war after a sinkhole collapsed.
Ooh, look at that. Plus, algae plaguing the Florida coast. Ahead, the latest on the cleanup efforts.
But some nice weather conditions right now over top of the city of Fort Myers. Air temperatures right now reported at 80 degrees in the River District. A check of when our best rain prospects arrive this afternoon coming up right after the break.
Back at 11:15 to talk weather. Rob Dunn's, the morning routine got thrown off because of the rain today.
Yeah, we had some big super soaker type downpours that pushed through this morning. It developed over the Gulf of Mexico and washed on shore and probably impacted more than one morning commute here in southwest Florida. Right now, though, you'll notice on live Doppler radar that all the rain has since fallen apart. If you're following along, though, with your NBC2 weather app, I'm sure you noticed these showers that are offshore. Right now, these are just more than 36 miles due to the west of Captiva, but they have been falling apart, so those will not be a player in our forecast in areas of coastal Charlotte, coastal Lee, or coastal Collier County. With all this in mind, since the rain has now ended here for a few neighborhoods in Lee County where it was pouring this morning, we've actually got a good looking forecast here right now. Blend of sun and clouds in place over beautiful Fort Myers Beach right now, but boy, is there a lot of humidity in place, even though the air temperatures right now for most communities are in the lower 80s, 83 right now in Arcadia, 84 in Estero. The feel-like temperatures are much closer to 90 in cities like Fort Myers and Cape Coral. Feels more like 90 currently at Estero High School in South Lee County. Our forecast going forward today does include some rain, but not everyone's going to see some downpours this afternoon. If you're thinking about heading to the pool this afternoon, most of us will leave fine, as the widest coverage of showers should favor our interior communities well to the east of Interstate 75. Otherwise, temperature-wise, a good one for the pool today, with numbers ranging from the upper 80s to lower 90s all the way through 4 and 5 o'clock this afternoon. Here's a way to visualize where the best rain opportunities lie this afternoon. Notice that what showers develop over the Gulf of Mexico fall apart in its inland communities along and to the east of Interstate 75, where the most widespread coverage of rain is expected this afternoon. If you're watching in Cape Coral or Bonita Springs, Marco, and Punta Gorda, yes, there's still the chance of some rain this afternoon, but the coverage should be much more isolated, as the widest coverage of rain favors the communities well to the east of the Interstate 75 corridor. Boating forecast includes a wind out of the south today, which is not the best news considering the red tide conditions that are ongoing in the Gulf of Mexico. A south wind will have the stench, if you will, of red tide favoring the coastal communities. Otherwise, once you get away from the beaches, though, seas are forecast between 1 and 2 feet. So otherwise, generally speaking, a decent day for the boat in the Gulf. 7-day forecast for us continues the chance of some downpours or thunderstorms both today and tomorrow, but Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, a big blast of comparatively drier air arrives. That means much lower rain chances here in southwest Florida. Today also marks a very important weather milestone here in southwest Florida. A look back at Hurricane Charlie that hit 14 years ago today, coming up at 11:45.
All right, Rob, thank you. We do want to get back to some breaking news we've been following since the top of the hour. The Highway Patrol and hazmat crews have all lanes of I-75 in Charlotte County shut down. You're taking a live look from our live Department of Transportation cameras. This is at mile marker 153. Around 8:30 this morning, troopers stopped that truck you see on the side of the interstate. And for a routine traffic stop, they found a potentially hazardous material leaking from that truck. We've just got word that they have brought in another hazmat crew to assess this situation. And we want to take a look from our mass cam from our NBC2 news truck that is on scene right now. You can see the truck there, some liquid on the ground, and it is causing a backup of traffic. So if you are going to be traveling through Charlotte County, through Lee County, avoid I-75 from Tucker's Grade to Bayshore Road. The troopers have the interstate shut down. We'll stay on top of this and bring you any updates as soon as we get them.
Amanda, let's go to a traffic alert of a different sort. This is in China. People there teaming up to rescue a car headed right down into that sinkhole. It swallowed up 2 parked cars. A third you saw just teetering on the edge. So people attached a rope and pulled the vehicle away from the danger. The hole stretched more than 300 feet. The area saw more than 5.5 inches of rain just in one day, causing 20 streets to cave in.
Back to Southwest Florida, where cleanup crews are processing more than 85,000 gallons of algae sucked right out of Lee County waterways last week. But that work is not over. Crews will be back at it again today. The county's pilot cleaning program wrapped up its first week on Friday, and the crews focused on some canals in Cape Coral and the Waterway Estates neighborhood in North Fort Myers. Again, crews are going to be back out there to clean up that nasty gunk. You can count on NBC2 to keep you updated on their progress. And a heads up for boaters traveling to and from Lake Okeechobee. The navigation lock at Buckhead Ridge in Glades County is closed today. It will reopen on Wednesday, August 22nd. Staff members from the South Florida Water Management District's Okeechobee Field Station will be doing lock repairs.
Preseason football is already underway, but new at 11, a Cape Coral restaurant and bar owner is taking a stand against the NFL this season. Shannon Yates posted this message to Facebook. In the message, Shannon says he will not show NFL games at Nevermind Bar in Cape Coral. He is calling on respect for the American flag, while several NFL players continue to say they will kneel during the national anthem before the games start. So Yates has canceled the NFL ticket at his business. And in this post, he stresses customers can still catch NCAA football, college football at Nevermind Bar. Uber now one step closer to getting into the business of flying cars off the ground. Last year, Uber unveiled its future plan for flying taxis. Now, Uber Air, the ride-hailing company's aviation program, is teaming up with the University of Texas and the U.S. Army Research Laboratory to make that a reality. The team will design new rotor technology that is needed to help the vehicles take flight with cruising altitudes of 1,000 to 2,000 feet and speeds of up to 200 miles per hour.
5 people are recovering this morning after a vintage plane crashed in Western Canada. The 1930s era biplane crashed after takeoff on Saturday at an airport near Vancouver. One witness says the plane started rolling after takeoff and nosedived onto the runway. The pilot and 4 passengers were all rushed to the hospital. One was critically injured. Now to the story of a plane that made a surprise landing on a California highway. A small plane landing right in the middle of the interstate. The pilot reported a rough running engine before the emergency landing Saturday night. 2 people were on board. One is still recovering from injuries. A Federal Aviation Administration spokesman says the pilot was trying to get to the Hayward Airport when a fuel line ruptured. The plane was not damaged. Neither were any of the cars on that freeway. Fire ripped through a hospital in Taiwan today, killing at least 9 people and injuring more than a dozen. The fire broke out on the 7th floor of the hospital. The victims include patients, nurses, and caregivers. 11 patients are in critical condition and 4 others have been injured.
It's disgusting that this officer is put there to protect and serve our children.
Those are parents demanding action, claiming their son was abused at the hands of school officials. A North Texas school district under fire after this newly released body cam video shows how a resource officer handled a kid with autism in April. This happening at an elementary school in Denton. The kid's parents say that they're outraged and hurt.
That's the best case scenario.
Emily Brown's heart hurts watching this body cam video.
You're flooded with so many different emotions: anger, hurt, and just lonesomeness.
The video shows her son, Thomas, backed into a cubby. Police say the 10-year-old was being disruptive and swinging a computer mouse near other kids. A school resource officer picks Thomas up as he shouts and struggles. Thomas's father says the officer carried his son to a quiet place called a sore room and face planted him.
It makes me feel helpless.
The special needs student is handcuffed and pinned to the ground. Police say Thomas kicked and spit on the officer.
He's scared. He's got a lot of anxiety because the very people that I told him to trust, he can't.
Officials say protocol was followed. The city says a review found no violations to laws or policies, and the decision to use restraints was made only when the child posed a serious threat to himself or others. Once the child was calm, the restraints were removed.
It's disgusting that this officer is put there to protect and serve our children, and he abused a disabled little boy.
We do know that the family is considering taking legal action against the police department and the district.
There's a consumer alert this Monday. Starting September the 1st, straw bans will be enforced at 6 of the Seminole casinos. Gary Bittner, a spokesperson for the Seminole Gaming Group, said they chose to do this because of the effects the plastic has on our environment. Not only are they focusing on plastic straws, they also plan to use paper to-go bags at their casinos. People who would like to use straws can request an alternative, a durable, earth-friendly drinking straw.
Any plastic straw, they won't be available in Seminole casinos anymore. The folks at Seminole Gaming felt that it was important to recognize that and stop using them.
So this will take effect at Seminole casinos located in Hollywood, Tampa, and Coconut Creek. People who would like to use straws can request the alternative, as I mentioned, a more earth-friendly type of drinking straw.
A Florida mall put on lockdown. NBC2 brings you the accounts of terrified shoppers as they run for safety.
And a kiss from your pet could lead to a serious infection. The warning you need to know today.
Plus, no one wants to be in the hospital, but if you have to be admitted, we talk with doctors to find out what you need to know to have the best experience. That's next on Health Matters.
And breaking news today, a hazmat scare closes all lanes of Interstate 75. NBC2 is live showing drivers ways to avoid getting stuck. Keep it here. Good Monday morning. We are on top of breaking news today. Interstate 75 in Charlotte County, not a place you want to be right now. All lanes, northbound and southbound, are closed. This is a live look at a hazmat scare involving the driver of that box truck, that lonely box truck you see parked on the shoulder of I-75. That's the Oil Well Road overpass that you see off in the distance, and behind it, a line of frustrated drivers. Mile marker 154 is what you're looking at. So this is between Bayshore Road in North Fort Myers and Tucker's Grade in Charlotte County. Stay with NBC2. We will let you know when all lanes of I-75 reopen to drivers.
A Florida mall is open today after a shoplifting incident led police to evacuate Sawgrass Mills Mall yesterday. Andrew Dimebert brings us the terrifying accounts of shoppers as they ran from what they thought was an active shooter.
We just saw stampede and running, and it was like everyone screaming.
A scare at the Sawgrass Mills Mall. Shoppers sprinting for the exits, thinking an active shooter was inside.
I was terrified.
There was no shooter, despite dozens of panicked people inside posting on social media that they heard gunshots.
People just ran out of the mall.
Police say the commotion came from a shoplifter with a knife. There was no gun, no shooter, and no shots fired, but police stormed the mall with their guns drawn.
It's a lot of police running with their guns, so yeah, that was really scary.
At the time, most frightened families had no idea what was going on.
People were just like running with the items and everything. It was like crazy.
And this isn't the first false shooting shut down at the Sawgrass. Late last year, a shoplifter set off fireworks, sending crowds of mall goers into a fearing frenzy. Sunday afternoon's dreaded drama was short-lived. But for the brief, tense, and troubling time they thought this was something else, nothing else mattered but getting out safe.
Everybody left everything. Everybody ran and left everything. Everybody was falling down, trying to run away from that.
That was Andrew Dimebert reporting. Now, anyone with information is asked to call Broward County Crime Stoppers.
A Nevada security guard is in critical condition this morning after he fired gunshots inside of the Ross store while he was working. The security guard started arguing with the store manager, then fired 5 bullets into the air. 2 officers made it to the store within 2 minutes. He left the store and opened fire on the officers. One fired back, hitting that angry security guard. Families there just for back-to-school shopping say it was terrifying.
Chaotic. Everyone was running in. Everyone was trying to get shelter. There was policemen with machine guns outside.
Can't even go shopping today without worrying about someone shooting, you know. And so it's a little heart-wrenching.
It's happened at a Ross store, but several other nearby stores went on lockdown. No officers or customers were injured.
This morning, investigators are uncovering more details into the death of that 7-year-old girl from Jacksonville. She was shot and killed over the weekend. The sheriff, mayor, and state attorney all announcing an $11,000 reward for information leading to an arrest. And now the family is trying to save money for the funeral. The family is from Honduras, and they're looking to get that young girl back home for the funeral. They've set up a GoFundMe to help with that. She was shot outside of a mall in Jacksonville. And Milwaukee police are investigating a triple shooting on the city's north side. According to the Milwaukee Fire Department, this happened Sunday evening, and the medical examiner confirms that an adult male has died. 2 others were also shot, including a 5-year-old and there's no word on their condition. But witnesses said that he heard about 9 shots.
It's real sad. You know, I have a little 7-year-old boy, so just being there and seeing that it's hard.
The older person, was he saying anything? Was he alive? Or?
No, he was laying face down on the ground. Wasn't saying anything, wasn't moving.
2 other people died in shootings in Milwaukee on Sunday. One shot around 5 at night, another around 2 in the morning. Police have not said if the shootings are connected.
11:34 in the Alert Center. I'm Nate Foy. How about this? A new AP investigation finds that Google is tracking your location, whether you like it or not. Chris, let's take a look at this article the AP just put out, and it is disturbing. It says that even if you use privacy settings, Google is still tracking where you go. Now, this affects 2 billion users. The AP says that every time you search something on Google, they record your latitude and longitude. Now, to avoid being tracked, you have to go to every individual app, take the location services off, and also use a different search browser other than Google.
Good to know. Nate Foy in the Alert Center. We will see you again in a few minutes, my friend. Now to the algae crisis in Southwest Florida. So many people demanding action, pushing for better water quality. In reaction to this movement called Hands Along the Water has been born. Thousands of people held hands along the shore of more than 30 Florida beaches this weekend. People crowded on Fort Myers Beach, Clearwater, Siesta Key, and Miami beaches. The movement was meant to raise awareness of the crisis that's killing so much marine life.
It's not just about the economy that's being hurt, which it is happening. It's about the marine life, you know, endangered species that were taken off the list are about to be put right back on.
It doesn't matter what you believe in water.
Event organizers insist they will continue to hold similar events until they see changes being made. Hundreds of people marched through Fort Myers on demanding action be taken to the fight when it comes to the algae crisis in Southwest Florida. It's called Death March. Hundreds of people held signs and chanted in frustration. Many wore costumes and held signs, some including Dead Sea Life. After some speakers, the group left Centennial Park and marched into downtown along McGregor, where police shut down intersections. A Cape Coral mom marching with her children is angry her home is being ruined.
I'm out here because this is my home. This has been my home for a long time, and I'm watching it be destroyed. I want my children to have what I had. I want my children to be able to go and build sandcastles and put their feet in the sand and learn about our environment. And it's dying, and I can't even get near it.
Many people wore black, and some even used makeup to appear like dead fish. Protesters, in some cases, laid on the ground to signify the death of local waterways. The protest was peaceful. No reports of damage.
The DEP is partnering with Friends of Lovers Key State Park to build a $4 million environmental education center. The 4,000 square foot building will have multiple classrooms and offer interactive activities for people of all ages to help them learn about Florida's environment. The programs will be taught by retired professors, environmentalists, and photographers. That education center is set to break ground in December of next year. And on Wednesday, Florida leaders and candidates will hold a title town hall to discuss red tide. Candidates running for local, state, and congressional positions will offer ideas on solutions to the sea level rising. And that meeting is from 5 to 7 on Wednesday at the North Fort Myers Recreation Center.
All new at 11 o'clock. Certainly being admitted to a hospital can be a scary situation, but in today's Health Matters, Lindsay Morton finds out what you can do to make that process a little easier.
It can be an overwhelming experience, but doctors say if you or a loved one has to come to the hospital, there are a few things to keep in mind.
I would like for family to feel that they're empowered when they come to the hospital, that they are part of the team.
Which is why patients need to have an advocate, a family member or friend who writes down information and speaks up for the patient so they can better understand their illness.
Always have an advocate with you. Medicine is very complex. Healthcare is very complex.
Making it important to ask questions.
Ask for the list of medication. Ask the providers and the nurses when they come in. If they're not washing their hands, ask them, please wash your hands. Ask them if it's something you don't understand.
It's important for patients and their advocates to feel comfortable with their care team. Make sure you understand the care you're getting and inform health experts about your medical history.
You have to be upfront about your medical history. You have to tell everything to the team of nurses and the doctors so they know how to best care for you.
Speak up if something doesn't feel right or if you don't understand your medical plan.
We need you to be our partner. We are a partner with you in making sure you receive the best care possible.
Keeping open communication improves trust between patients and health experts.
It's a promise to the patient and their families that when you come here, we take care of you like we take care of our own family member. It's personal to us.
A few ways that can improve the care and relationship between patients and health experts. For Lee Health, I'm Lindsay Morton.
New research is out this week suggesting symptoms of depression in teenagers and their parents may be linked. The Northwestern University study tracked a group of depressed teens who also had a parent with depression. It showed when a teen's symptoms improved through treatment, the parent improved as well. Parental depression improved regardless of the type of treatment the children received. The Centers for Disease Control says painkillers like Vicodin are to blame in part for the opioid epidemic, and a new study says the FDA knew doctors were wrongly prescribing them but didn't properly act. Prescription opioids and heroin have killed 42,000 people in the last 2 years, and at the same time, the CDC reported the number of painkillers prescribed tripled from 1999 through 2015. The painkillers were prescribed to patients who had no tolerance, and many doctors were never trained on their proper usage.
Bacteria transferred from the mouth of your dog or cat in rare cases could give you a serious blood infection. A tiny bite from the family dog, Bo, quickly turned into an infection for Dan Larson's wife, Sharon. She died in June. That same bacteria forced a 48-year-old man to have his hands and legs amputated in order to save his life. Both had come in contact with dog saliva. Their blood infections caused by capnocytophaga, which is a bacteria found in the saliva of most dogs and even some cats.
Dog bites mash tissue, and they crush the tissue. The bacteria can be inoculated into that wound, and all of a sudden you get very sick with sepsis, high fever, low blood pressure.
People most at risk are over the age of 40. They have compromised liver function or have had their spleen removed. However, specialists say not to panic. The illness is rare, and you have more of a chance of getting hit by lightning.
Stay with NBC2 for this story. Looks like a scene out of a movie. Cars tossed around like toys. Just getting a new video this morning showing the massive cleanup underway after the East Coast got soaked with huge amounts of rain.
And 14 years ago today, do you remember what you were doing right now? Well, if you lived in Southwest Florida, you were bracing for the landfall of Hurricane Charlie. A look back at what happened in this very building back on that infamous day in South Florida weather history, plus a check at what's out in the tropics right now, coming up right after the break.
NBC2 staying on top of breaking news. A hazmat situation closes Interstate 75 in Charlotte County. We'll bring you the confirmed information and ways to get around this closure straight ahead.
right, coming up now on 11:45 on a nice sun-filled morning for the most part here in Southwest Florida. This is a live look from the top of the NBC2 studios here in Fort Myers, looking across the Edison Mall area as we look in the direction toward the southwest, toward the city of Cape Coral. Temperature-wise, it's mild and muggy outdoors, but because we had some rain this morning, numbers aren't quite blazing away just yet. 84 right now at Page Field Airport, 83 in Port Charlotte, and 84 the current temperature being reported right now near Palmyra Golf Club in the city of Bonita Springs. NBC2 First Alert Live Doppler radar, the only one of its kind in Southwest Florida, can only pick up on a few widely isolated drops of rain to the east of Clewiston right now over Lake Okeechobee. Otherwise, conditions are nice and quiet from Charlotte Harbor all the way down to Marco Island and the 10,000 Islands. For the most part today, our live Doppler radar should be fairly quiet during the afternoon because the widest concentration of downpours and thunderstorms today will try and favor areas along and to the east of Interstate 75. So through 4, 5, and 6 o'clock tonight, your best opportunity of run into a downpour or thunderstorm will be in cities like Lehigh Acres and Golden Gate Estates, LaBelle, and cities on the south end of Lake Okeechobee. There's still a chance of a downpour or a thunderstorm if you call home Fort Myers or Cape Coral, Punta Gorda, Naples, but keep in mind the best coverage of rain today will favor our inland communities along and to the east of that I-75 corridor. Of course, we're back in the tropics here now with a quick check of the tropical satellite. Nothing ominous for us to look at right now across the Gulf of Mexico. And my goodness, look at how quiet the Caribbean Sea is right now. That's about as quiet as things can be here for the middle of the month of August. In the wider Atlantic Ocean, yeah, there's a few tropical waves that are out here off the coast of Africa, but nothing right now showing any signs of organization. In fact, the only feature on the map right now the Hurricane Center is monitoring is a broad non-tropical area of low pressure in the central northern Atlantic. Development odds over the next 5 days only at 20%, so this is not something we have to be worried about here in Southwest Florida. August 13th, 2004 is a infamous date in South Florida weather history. That, of course, the day that Hurricane Charlie made a direct landfall into Charlotte County, caused a tremendous amount of damage, most specifically in the cities of Port Charlotte and Punta Gorda. And everyone who lives here owes those two gentlemen on the screen a big debt of gratitude. That, of course, are Robert Van Winkle, our now retired chief meteorologist, and Jim Reef, the man who identified before anyone else that Charlie was making that turn closer to Charlotte Harbor. So let's take a moment here and just remember the two contributions that those two men made to our community, because what they did on August 13th, 2004 saved a lot of lives in Charlotte County specifically.
Took a lot of courage to go against the national models and to use the local knowledge they were looking at and say, no, this isn't going to Tampa. Charlie was heading towards Charlotte Harbor.
A lot of that ties in with our live radar here. It operates faster than what the Weather Service was able to see, so they were able to pinpoint that turn a little bit faster than everyone else. And thank goodness they were able to do that, because like I mentioned, that saved a lot of lives here in our community.
And Rob, give our viewers a peek behind the curtain, so to speak. Jim and Robert passed down a lot of the knowledge straight to you.
I couldn't have asked for a better mentor for learning the weather specifics of Southwest Florida than Robert Van Winkle. I worked with him for so many years, and it's a
old school techniques, like pencil and paper.
Very simple things make a big difference when it comes to big weather events and things like that. You just learn by experience. So it's a real honor and a pleasure to have been able to work with those two guys for a little bit.
So you're saying Southwest Florida is in good hands now?
Looking good, yeah.
All
for
right.
the time being, yeah.
Thanks,
See you
Rob.
at noon, Rob. We're covering breaking news this morning. A chemical spill has closed all lanes of I-75 northbound and southbound. This is mile marker 154 between Tucker's Grade and Bayshore Road. It is a mess out there. Troopers pulled over a driver this morning. They smelled and noticed something leaking out of the back right side of that white box truck you see on the left side of your screen. We're told the truck is carrying at least 15,000 pounds of resin. That's a highly flammable substance that should not be breathed in by humans or animals. It's often, Amanda, used to make pipes.
And one thing we want to let you know is, again, that I-75, since it's completely closed, your alternate routes, if we want to take a look at our maps, you can see I-75 all red, but your alternate routes are going to be US 41 or even State Road 31. I do want to point out, though, US 41, we are seeing some heavier delays heading southbound from Zemmel Road to about Bayshore Pine Island Road. It's about a 28-minute delay. It'll take you 41 minutes to drive about 9 miles there. State Road 31, though, on the other hand, looking all clear heading north and southbound. A little bit of delays on Vermont Road. But again, I-75 north and south closed between Tucker's Grade and Bayshore Road. We will keep an eye on this and let you know any updates that we get into our newsroom.
Now go to incredible video coming in from New Jersey. showing cars just getting tossed around in a river like toys. Heavy thunderstorms swept through Saturday and dropped around 5 inches of rain. The Chrysler dealership that you're seeing there sits right near the Peckman River, and as the water rose, cars went under. Some were swept into the river along with cars washed away from a nearby shooting range. One towing company owner said more than a dozen vehicles were removed from the water by Sunday morning. What a mess.
How about this? The New Jersey couple's wedding day almost ruined. A washout. Look at that. That is a police officer rescuing the bride in her wedding gown through the roof of her car, flooded in water. We are also hearing that the groom and other wedding party members were rescued. Hopefully that dress wasn't ruined, but thankfully that officer was there to help. And we know that at least 27 people have been rescued after a flash flood hit campsites near San Antonio, Texas. See helicopters there that were brought in to drop life jackets to people stranded by that rising water in the Chalk Bluff Park. The National Weather Service says the area got up to about 9 inches of rain in a 3-hour period on Sunday, causing flash flooding. There are no serious injuries reported.
This morning, a warning from security experts preventing people from getting scammed out of thousands of dollars. One Lehigh Acres man found out the hard way. He is now out $7 grand. He lost it because of a phone scam involving a family member. Howard Breezer is his name. Says he got a phone call early Thursday morning. The scammer claimed to be his granddaughter-in-law, saying she got into a crash while driving a friend's car and she needed money for the bail or she'd have to spend the night in jail.
I was just paying attention. That was my granddaughter, and I wanted to get her out of trouble. If anything at all sounds fishy, check on it first before you pay out any money.
Those are wise words. One identity theft expert suggests creating a code word to protect your family from scams. When scammers call, you can ask for that specific word. If they don't know it, then you'll know something's not exactly right.
Many people think carrying a credit card balance will improve their credit score. However, a recent study found that more than 1 in 5 credit card users, that's about 43 million Americans, pay little or nothing on their monthly credit card bill. Financial experts say not only is that a myth, but doing so can have the opposite effect on your credit.
Nothing's going to torpedo your credit score quicker than making late payments on anything other than on the occasional basis. With the average credit card rate now over 17%, there's a clear benefit for card issuers if you're carrying a balance needlessly on your credit card.
Instead, you can boost your credit score by paying bills on time and paying down debts monthly.
All new at 11, a star spills a secret about a box office smash. Wonder Woman hits the racetrack, and is a popular actor just playing with us about playing James Bond? David Daniel has our entertainment roundup in today's Hollywood Minute.
Why don't you just put a tracker on it? Did you guys ever watch Shark Week?
Rainn Wilson says the hardest part of making The Meg was the part he thought would be the most fun.
You're like, oh man, I can't wait to do my scene in the water and have my lines and dive in. I'm so hot right now, and I fall in and splash. It seems super fun. And then about take 5 or 6 or 7, it starts to be like the least fun thing in the world. You're completely waterlogged. You're wrinkled from head to toe. It's exhausting, and you have to go over and over again.
A racing game?
Slaughter race. It is wicked dangerous.
Meet Shank, a tough driver from an online racing game with the voice of Wonder Woman herself, Gal Gadot. She joins John C. Reilly and Sarah Silverman in Ralph Breaks the Internet. This new clip just hit the web. The movie opens November 21st.
Mr. Elba, right up this way, sir.
Idris Elba is sending mixed messages about rumors he could be the next James Bond. Sunday, the popular actor tweeted a selfie with the very 007-sounding line, "My name's Elba, Idris Elba." But a few hours later, he followed that with a photo of rap group Public Enemy and the title of one of their most famous songs, "Don't Believe the Hype." If Elba wanted to keep us guessing, mission accomplished. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Community members rallying together to support fallen Fort Myers police officer Adam Jobbers Miller. Next at 11, how you can show your support for his family.
He is gone, but certainly not forgotten. The Southwest Florida community is still rallying around Officer Adam Jobbers Miller. Lee County law enforcement came together on the ice to honor the fallen officer. They held a ceremony before the 4th annual public safety shootout. Adam Jobbers Miller was honored with a police banner that hangs over the ice. Candles were lit while law enforcement officers said a few words about his service and his life. The Lee County deputies said they couldn't play this game without remembering their fallen brother.
All of us from a law enforcement background that are also hockey players,
coming together to honor our fallen brother. Him being our brother and it happening too much nowadays. It's our way of honoring him as a hockey team.
The money raised will go to the officer's fiance and his stepson. Other money raised from the game will go to Heroes Unmasked.
All new, ahead at noon.
NBC2's team staying on top of breaking news ahead at noon.
A hazmat situation in Charlotte County shuts down I-75 for more than 3 hours now.
And more than 300 people injured after an oceanside boardwalk collapses. We head to Spain for the latest on what happened after this concert.